Thing number three, Gary, you've heard about the Stargate project coming out of the Trump administration. We're talking a question: do the participants here have the funding for thing number three, Gary? Stargate project, a $500 billion investment into U.S. AI infrastructure. Definitely put the market on notice, and curious to get your 2 cents here.
Well, so Rob, the question you are asking is, do the participants in the newly announced Stargate project, it's this, as you said, $500 billion investment into AI infrastructure. And your question is, do they have the funding? And that was the question last week. Over the last 48 hours, the question may be, does it even matter anymore? So I hate to kill our own story here, but we typically write the 5 things on Thursday and Friday, and then I'll review it early Saturday morning. We put it to bed and start to get everything published over the weekend. Obviously, Rob, with a lot of help from your team at Flying V, which we really appreciate. So, but over the weekend, there were a lot of events, or rather, one big one. So last week, President Trump announced this big plan, and he collaborated with Oracle and SoftBank, ARM, Microsoft, NVIDIA, OpenAI. And the idea is that the United States has had a gigantic lead in artificial intelligence. President Trump wants to make sure we maintain that. And so, they began this initiative with 10 data centers in Texas, plans to expand into surrounding states. They're going to create an estimated 100,000 jobs, new AI research hubs, workforce prep, partnerships, and all of this sounded really interesting and really exciting. And I do think, the United States should try to maintain some sort of edge in artificial intelligence. And then, 2 things happened. First of all, Elon Musk came out and said, wait a minute, the people at OpenAI or at SoftBank, they don't have the money they're saying they do. Where's this 500 billion coming from? And then, Rob, as we saw over the weekend and in yesterday's market carnage, or sorry, the market carnage from earlier today, rather, I'm in Vietnam, 12 hours ahead.
Yeah,
It's Tuesday here.
we're all over the place now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as we film this, Rob, you and I are 15 hours apart. I think it's Monday there, Tuesday here. But over the weekend, we got the big DeepSeek announcement. This Chinese AI developer that already, this wasn't an announcement, this was a product release. And this new DeepSeek product is one performing as well or better than the US based AI models on regular tests. People who use these things are saying, yeah, it's pretty good, it works, and they're getting generally good responses from it. But what they're claiming is that they were able to do this on NVIDIA's lower end chips, not NVIDIA's best chips. They supposedly did it on about $40 to $50 million of hardware compared to the tens of billions of dollars that have been spent by the US hyperscalers. And they claim that they only spent $6 million training the model, where in the US, our companies have spent a multiple of that. Now, I don't believe the Chinese numbers. I think, maybe DeepSeek spent, as one very smart deep knowledge investing subscriber emailed me yesterday, maybe DeepSeek spent $6 million, but they probably got subsidies from the Chinese government. But I think there's no question that whether they spent $6 million or $60 million or, $600 million, whatever the number is, they've clearly been much more efficient. They spent less. They worked with less. I think China has had access to more and better NVIDIA chips than a lot of people think. It's been an open secret in the business that even though the previous White House banned export of NVIDIA's best chips to China, all China did was they were able to go online and rent time on NVIDIA's best chips. Right? It's very hard to gate the internet. So I think DeepSeek has had access to more than what they claim, but there's no question it is more efficient, and they did manage to do more with less. And so, the real question is, you were asking the question, does the US have $500 billion of funding for Stargate? The real question is, should anybody be spending $500 billion?
Gary, in terms of DKI, and obviously in the past we've talked about energy investments as it relates to AI. What does that look like for DKI portfolio positions, and any thoughts on that as it relates to the ties that AI has to energy plays?
So, Rob, the overall portfolio is in great shape. One of the things that we've talked about is we are heavily, heavily hedged. So, obviously, everybody's stocks were down earlier today on Monday. That'll happen in a huge market sell off. But we have gigantic hedges in place. I'm short market indexes. I own puts on the indexes, and so those, it made a lot more money than the market decline yesterday, particularly the options. So we were really well protected for that. We also own companies that reduce healthcare costs for people who are ill and need medical treatment. We own companies like Biometric Security. These are not positions that are affected by DeepSeek or AI related efficiency. Where it's going to be very interesting is obviously the power generation companies. And, we do own power generation, and we do own things like uranium. Those stocks did badly yesterday, understandably. Now, the question is, does DeepSeek's announcement mean that nobody's going to need more energy? We don't need more energy infrastructure. I'm skeptical on that. We're doing more work on it right now. But just remember that in the US, people want to electrify everything. People want electric cars. Whether we need a small number of new AI related data plants or a large number, it's still infrastructure that needs to be built. And we're very positive on the nuclear energy thesis. Those plants are planned, permitted, and built and operated over a 50-year time scale. I don't know that DeepSeek finding a more efficient way to train an AI model means that the next half century, of energy usage in the world is going to change that much. I would also point out that one of the things that we have in the US, because we have the largest and generally strongest stock markets in the world, we're very US focused in our thinking, but there are billions of people all over the world who live on very low income. You see this, billions of people living on $2 a day or $20 a day, whatever it is, it's a very small number. And those people want a higher material quality of life, and that means more energy. And so, right now, Africa and lots of India and China and even Germany, they're burning wood, they're burning coal. They're going to want to switch to cleaner forms of energy. We think that's going to be nuclear. So, look, it wasn't a surprise that some of these stocks performed very poorly earlier today. I don't know that, DeepSeek has changed the landscape for the next 50 years. And I'm just going to add one quick thing here. A lot of people, Rob, are saying, hey, wait a minute, DeepSeek is more efficient. That means we don't need more energy. But that's not the way technology works. As technology becomes more efficient and cheaper, what happens to the demand?
Yeah.
People want more of it. They want to use more of it. And, Rob, think about this. When you and I were kids, a home computer might have been expensive. When I was a kid, people used mainframes in their offices. And so now, like I personally, I have a computer, I have a laptop, I have a tablet, I have a cell phone. I'm guessing you are similarly equipped. You probably have computers at home. You have a laptop, you have a computer in the office, you have a cell phone, you might have a tablet. You have all these devices. The reason you have all of that is because prices have come down. So as the price of accessing using AI comes down, that doesn't mean we're going to use less of it. People will use more of it as the price comes down. So I think today, still, in the wrong time zone. I think today's market action may have been a little bit overdone.